Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys Aliens Alien Queen Deluxe action figure. Spot's been extremely excited to get this one finally opened up and have a look at the figure itself. This is one fantastic figure, and I'm so glad that NECA Toys has finally been able to give us an Alien Queen. We have gotten Alien Queens before, not necessarily from NECA Toys, but we did get Alien Queens before from, of course, McFarlane Toys, but McFarlane gave us a deluxe scale figure that was part of their Movie Maniacs line, and they also gave us a smaller, more diorama setup of an Alien Queen that came along with their AVP line. By far though, this one, just from really the sheer coloring of the piece, this one looks like it's going to be an instant hit. The front window of the box, you can see that really half of the Queen is visible. The other half features some really neat, and I hope this is actually included, this little dioramic piece with a couple of victims, I suppose, of the Queen suspended against the wall here. Of course, there are some eggs also featured down below as well, none of which I'm really sure what actually comes included with the piece, but certainly can't wait to get this opened up. We spin around the side of the box. There's a picture of the Queen right there, and then the back of the box, a much larger, more clear image of what the Queen's going to look like. The read-up says, to celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Alien franchise, we've created our most massive and most ambitious alien figure ever. The terrifying xenomorph alien stands over 15 inches tall and is over 30 inches long. Featuring more than 35 points of articulation, including a spectacular posable tail, hinged jaws, sliding head, and more. Includes a display stand and 2 different interchangeable inner mouths. Some assembly required. Of course, to check out more, you can go to www.necaonline.com. Check out the other pieces that the folks over at NECA are producing. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Alien Queen. I can't wait. Don't go anywhere, guys. There's more heading your way. Stay tuned. When you get the Queen out of packaging, you can see right away that she's extremely large. She does have some assembly that's required. That assembly comes in with the spikes that you're going to have to put on her back. So what you want to do first is when you get her out of packaging, you'll see on the back here there are 3 holes, 3 plug points on either side. You're going to want to take the pieces and you'll want to connect, just peg the ball joints into those areas. And the only downside though is to install them, these are rubbery, so when you put some pressure into the socket, you might find that they bend on you. So it's easier to peg them in by holding the ends and just peg them into place like that. With those pieces plugged into place, you get a look that looks something like this. And each one of these pieces is ball jointed, so you can move them around. Sometimes if you move them around too much, they want to pop back out of their sockets, but there is some posability in these little extra pieces here. While the Queen also stands pretty good, really easily on her own, the folks over at NECA Toys also include a display stand. And display stand has 1 peg point right at the top there, and does supply two rods, 1 rod longer than the other. In fact, let me hold up the 2 together. There you go. There's a smaller one, there's the longer one, depending on where you want to clip this to the Queen. But what you want to do is take the rod, just peg it into the display stand like that, and then this can attach to the Queen. They also give you a clear clip that just clips up to the top of the peg like this, and that will allow you to display the Queen any which way you want. Now, obviously, for the smaller, shorter rod, it's probably going to be more suitable if you want to display the Queen moving forward. You can kind of clip her into place like that, or you could use the longer pole to attach it more so around her neck area if you want to have her standing upright. It's really depending on how you want to present the Queen. I know kind of really in like Alien versus Predator, the Queen was running more so like a T-Rex, so you could kind of have her lunging forward. But I kind of think I like the Queen more upright, and then just kind of display the head accordingly. But happy to see that NECA Toys, especially for a figure this top heavy, because she has a fair bit of weight up at the top section here, that they would give you at least a display stand to help hold her up. Don't kid yourself though, the Queen is extremely long. I mean, a considerably large figure, and adequately enough that's for an Alien Queen you would want a big figure. You wouldn't want something that's a very small scaled figure. She sadly doesn't come with any sort of display pieces. Kind of would have been cool if she even came with, like, even if the display stand had been a little longer, the peg posts could still have gone in there, and maybe we had had eggs or something like that that she could have stood with, as opposed to just the V-shaped stand. But even without a display stand, she is extremely impressive. The one thing I love about this figure too is the coloring. The coloring versus, say, and I don't want to really do the comparisons back and forth between this and, say, the McFarlane Toys Queen, because each one brought different things to the table. That one went to more the route of a darker looking Queen. This one, however, they decided to paint it mostly in a blue color. The plastic as a whole is a dark gray plastic, almost borderlining on a black. And then what they've done is they've washed areas on the Queen with a almost like a blue-based gray. And it's those colors that really make the areas of the Queen stand out. And then what they've done is they've outlined areas such as the top of the thighs, the top of the spines, the areas around the elbows, the areas around the neck in a gold paint. And really all of those colors combined make this Queen something that really stands out. Initially, when I saw the images of the Queen, I was a little worried, to be honest, that the figure maybe might have been too blue. And now in hand, I can tell you, at least from my own personal opinion, I feel like it's just the right amount of color. If she was more just a solid straight black, I think some of the details probably wouldn't have come out as much, and it gives her a much more the lighting of what you would see kind of in space. In space, I would imagine her, you know, like in the Alien movies themselves, they almost light the scenes in a blue that this looks a little more screen accurate had it just been a straight black plastic. The face on Queen is very cool. Her mouth does open. You can open and close the mouth, and they've put that kind of saliva strings, tendon areas around the jaw area. So when you move it, you've got little areas where this just wet, dripping, stretched out tendon on the side of the jaw there. The jaw does open and close fairly easy, and then she does also have rotation and articulation in the actual head area. Of course, being Queen, the one thing that she has though, and I'll get to bring the camera back a little bit here, bring her back, is the crest, the Queen crest, which is very a staple to the Queen versus the rest of the drones. I love the design and artwork and sculpt to the crown here. The crown also, and this is the only figure that I've seen for an Alien Queen that has this, is that the crest, the crown plate here, can slide forward. Also very similar to how it did in the movie. I mean, in the movie, the Queen doesn't extend out her jaw immediately. In fact, when we first see her, you see the jaw, you know, come out on the Queen. And it mimics that pretty easily in the actual toy. This kind of gets a little loose, and hopefully in time it's not going to get too incredibly loose on me, but I love the fact that this can actually slide out. That's a really nice touch. It's touches like this where you can really see that NECA puts a lot of care and workmanship into their pieces. But you can see again all the little gold accents, the darker blue in there as well, and of course the underlaid color of black bring all those details really into the forefront. Of course, no Alien would be complete without the inner, smaller jaw, and Queen actually gets two of them. She gets a longer one, or she also gets a shorter one, depending on how you want her displayed. And hopefully you guys can see it right inside Queen's mouth. You see there is a rectangular peg socket right in there, and you're just going to take this piece and you're going to peg it into place. But the one thing you have to be careful of, if you can see it, the shape is not actually a full rectangle. It's more like a Tetris L-shaped piece. So when you peg this into place, you want to make sure you're pegging it in the right way up and not apply too much force to it. But you can just peg it, and that just pegs into place. A couple of other details that I can point out on Queen as well is that she has the two front arms that you can rotate. She does in fact actually have rotation in these arms. There's a ball joint socket, a ball hinge socket actually in the front of the arms here, and then she also has a rotation point in the wrist area. It also has a hinge, and she also has a rotation point here. So there's actually a knuckle joint right at the socket. There's an elbow joint, and then there's also a wrist joint where you can independently move each of the arms. Queen's tail is extremely long. In fact, the tail itself is longer than the actual body of the Queen. And the tail itself, while it doesn't have swivel or ball joints in the articulation, the whole tail is wire framed, so you can adjust the tail depending on how you want her displayed. I probably will likely just have the tail really as long out as I can. Without a doubt though, the one area where this figure trumps the old McFarlane Toys piece is the level of articulation in this figure itself. That figure also was relegated to being always pegged into the display stand. This figure can run freely as it were, and you can display her in any number of different poses. So we just spin her around here. Of course, as we mentioned, she does have the ball joint in the head, so the head moves up and down, and it also moves left and right. And once again, these, don't be surprised, these might unpeg frequently while you're moving around the figure, especially with moving the crown here. When you start moving in this, it might clip these and knock them off, but you can easily just peg them back into place. As mentioned, also the crown area slides forward and back, so you can that adjusts quite nicely. The area around the head, this section right here, is on its own independent ball joint, so it rotates left and right. But then there's a secondary ball joint that's in the base of the neck, and that neck area moves again left and right, up and down. When you get to the torso section here, the torso is on its own ball joint. As you can see, it rotates fairly easy back and forth and up and down. The arms, here we go, the arms are also on a ball hinge joint, so they swivel. They swivel left and right, and they also rotate back and forth. She does also have, and this is where older figures, you likely would have had a lot of swivel points. Queen, however, are all ball hinge joints. So the hinge on the elbow here allows the arm to bend back and forth and also rotate side to side. She also has a swivel point, which also is a hinge point in the hand. So the hands can also, depending on how you want to display her, the hands also can hinge around as well. When you get to her legs, the legs, and unfortunately this is probably where you after a while may start wanting to use the supplied clip and stand just to kind of help her out and take some much needed weight off of the legs, because the legs after time holding so much of the weight at the top, the legs you might find that they start tending to get loose on you. But the legs are on a nice ball hinge joint here. And then down at the leg area, there's a hinge in the knee, and then a secondary hinge at the, I guess, the base of where the calf would be on the Queen. She's got a hinge point in the foot, and she's also got a swivel in the feet themselves, in the toes. I always find it funny too with the Queen. The Queen has kind of stiletto high heel shoes on. I don't know if that was their deliberate plan of when they were designing her, but I always thought that was a really neat looking touch. The Queen is a phenomenal, phenomenal looking piece. If you were to ask me, Spot, what would be one figure that you would want to pick up from NECA Toys, without any doubt whatsoever, this one for sure. They say things come in threes, and NECA Toys, I think, while NECA has certainly produced other pieces as well, I think their trumps, their masterpieces that they've released was the RoboCop Ed 209, the Spider Gremlin from Gremlins, and now the Alien Queen. They've produced a big, massive piece super articulated, super detailed, and super excellent. This figure, without any doubt whatsoever, is a 10. If you get a chance and you guys are able to find this, and unfortunately now Queen is a little harder to find, probably eBay might be your best chance. But I would say, without any doubt whatsoever, if you can pick her up, do yourself a favor and add this one to your collection. You won't be disappointed. Today's Toy Spot, we are looking at the NECA Toys Aliens Queen Deluxe figure. An absolutely gorgeous piece. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.